Hey, it's DeagleBeagle. So let's go over the Series 2 rules because they were announced very recently. I want to say like today or yesterday. I think on the 5th maybe they were announced. And here are just the quick rules. To keep a long story short, it's basically the same as Series 1, except it allows the Paradox Pokemon, but not the Ruins ones. So not Qian Pao, forget all the Chinese. Qian Pao, Wo Qian is not allowed. Chi Yu, and then what was the other one? So Chi Yu lowers their special defense. Qian Pao lowers their defense. Oh, it was the Grass Dark Pokemon, not Grass Dark. It was Ground Dark. It's the can't believe I forgot the name of it. Ground and Dark. It's Ting Lu. So that's not allowed either. But pretty much all the other Pokemon are allowed unless they're like restricted Pokemon, maybe event Pokemon or whatever. So the main thing that's going to come to mind are the old Pokemon that were really good. Let's revisit them. All the Quark Drive Pokemon are pretty good, except maybe Moth. Moth is not that good, and then Thorns is okay, maybe with Dragon Dance or whatever. Um, Iron Bundle's okay, but I don't like messing with Hydro Pump. Is there another move you can use with it? I think you can use Terra Blast Water. Well, depends. Because Hydro Pump just can miss. Like, I would not use it unless you use like Wide Lens or something. It's too fast for Zoom Lens. And Zoom Lens is inconsistent because if they have slower Pokemon, it doesn't raise accuracy at all. So also, where were the other Photosynthesis? All these Pokemon are gonna be good probably, except Sandy Shock's not that good. Slitherwing and Screamtail doesn't have priority like Grimmsnarl does, so I don't know. I've never really preferred Screamtail that much, but I suppose it might be better than Grimmsnarl. Possibly. I mean, if you have like Sun Up, then the photosynthesis works, and I think it boosts your highest stat. Let's look at the definition. If the highest stat the Oh, if you it boosts speed more than the other stats. So naturally with photosynthesis, you probably want to make its speed the highest stat. So for example, you can make its speed 136. You can make its defense like, well, you might have to make its speed more than 136 if you want to raise its defenses and not raise its special attack at all. Uh, so let's just say you make it 140. I'm just doing random stuff. Okay, so actually I could have made it timid if I wanted to. So you could make it timid, and then actually you don't even need to worry about it. It just depends on what you want to do, or you could make it calm, but you probably don't need that much special defense. Maybe. Well, actually, maybe, since it's fairy. You might want to make the Terror type Psychic or some better defensive type. It depends on if you're actually planning on attacking with it. Um, but maybe I shouldn't go super in depth into all the photosynthesis and all the Quark Drive Pokemon, but those are going to be the main ones. And what else? Oh, Pincurchin and Torkoal. So Pincurchin usage is probably going to go up more than any other Pokemon compared to Series 1 because it activates so many abilities. that are good. So many good Pokemon's abilities. And then Torkoal. So let's go over Torkoal and Pincurchin. Yeah, let's go over all these Pokemon. So with Torkoal, you can either use Charcoal or you can use Specs. But on all the Torkoals, you want Eruption and probably either Heat Wave, or you might even want Flamethrower. But it depends on how weak you're willing to let yourself be to wide guard. Personally, I would just pray they wouldn't have wide guard. But I suppose instead of Heat Wave, you could use like Flamethrower or something, and then Protect. And if you use the Spec set, you could use whatever, Clear Smog, or actually a third fire move is what I might use if you don't need Clear Smog, like Heat Wave. Yeah, you could do that if you do Specs, if you do Choice Specs with it. But if you do Specs, if you do, and you would want Terrafire for more firepower, most likely, because you're not planning to wall things with Eruption. Really, you're primarily, ideally, you would want to use Eruption. So, defensive Terra, unless it's going to make you immune to something, you probably wouldn't want it. Like Terra Flying, maybe, to be immune to Earthquake, but then make the rest in special defense, because that already has high defense, really high. One of the highest in the game. Even though its HP isn't super high. Okay, so then Pincurchin. I really liked Pincurchin when I used it. I would actually make it probably 21 speed, because Torkoal's 22, so you still outspeed it. But you could make it even lower speed for some reason if you wanted to, but I don't think Torkoal or some Pokemon would be able to lower its speed that much. There is the Crab Abominable that uses Ice Hammer and gets down to pretty low speed, or Hammer Arm. Yeah, let's look at the Hammer Arm Pokemon really quick. But Crab Abominable is almost never used with what is it, Ice Hammer. It's not used very much at all, because typically you would want to use Hariyama over that. And then what's the other one? I used to use it in Trick Room though to try to get rid of screens with Brick Break. And then there's other ones with Hammer Arm. Let's look at them really quick. Is there really not any Pokemon that gets a Stab Hammer Arm? Wow. That's crazy. Okay, so then Hammer Arm's not even going to be an issue. Unless they use it with Garganacl, but they would use Body Press instead, most likely. Unless they're trying to be extra slow for Trick Room. Let's see. They would have to use it more than once. So yeah, just go with Modest. For the rare instance that you have Icy Wind or Tailwind, then you might be 40 speed, you know. Or it doesn't really matter. As long as you're below 22, it really doesn't matter. So normally I've preferred to run Specs with this. And use it as a Trick Room counter and use it in Trick Room. So you could use Choice Specs, Discharge, Thunderbolt. I think I used Hydro Pump and some sort of poison move, Venoshock or something. Let's look at all the special moves it gets. Oh, Terra Blast you might want, but you might want Terra Electric, so maybe not Terra Blast. You might want either Venoshock. I use Venoshock for coverage, but I'm almost thinking of Bubble Beam because Hydro Pump could miss. What resists electric? Ground and electric and dragon? Ground, electric, and dragon. So chilling water might be decent too. I don't know. Definitely not Electro Ball. Swift does hit both opponents, but so does Discharge. I don't know. I mean, I would personally oh yeah, grass resists electric. I think that's why I use Venoshock because you can maybe super affect a grass Pokemon with it. Okay, but to show the physical Pincurchin with choice band, you might actually flinch something with it. Oh yeah, by the way, don't use lightning rod. Probably use electric surge. That's like the whole point of it. Um, Zing zap. It gets sucker punch, liquidation. You could use facade with it or poison jab. I'm trying to think of what I would use. Poison only super effects. I want to say grass. Let's look at the typing chart again. Poison, super effects, grass. Oh, and fairy. Duh. Okay, so fairy. And then what's the alternative again? Oh yeah, you do have wild charge. But to me, I wouldn't use it for all that recoil. Unless maybe if you need the extra power, 10 more extra power. I would probably use poison jab for the coverage. And make it choice band. So you could hit Sylveon and stuff with it if it doesn't Terra. Then, I don't know. Make it... Wait, what? How is this one that slow with Modest, but the other one seemed... Let me try something. Okay, never mind. It's the same. So, you could use Adamant with it or Brave, whatever. And it does have more attack than special attack, but you do a lot of net damage with Discharge. So you could use it with like a ground Pokemon or telepathy Pokemon like a Rangaroo or whatever. Or maybe Rabska, because it has Revival Blessing and Lepa Berry. Or is there a Volt... there's a Lightning... Now, you wouldn't want to use Lightning Rod with it just in case you had the Thunderbolt. But let's just look at the Lightning Rod and Volt Absorb Pokemon. Raichu, Pikachu. Nah, you actually wouldn't want the double electric because that wouldn't be enough coverage. But there might be a Pokemon that somehow has coverage with Volt Absorb. Nah, that's not even true. Really, Palmot? Nah, not really. So forget about that. And then let's go over each one of these really quick. So this, I used to use it with Blizzard, with Obama Snow. That's probably the best way to use it, honestly. But I suppose you could use something else with it. Freeze Dry is pretty good. Encore's decent. You could use either Protect or Icy Wind. Freeze Dry, actually, would you even need a water move if you had Freeze Dry? Because it would hit, it gets Stab and it would hit a decent amount of things. So you might not even need a water move, come to think of it. Well, actually, Freeze Dry wouldn't hit fire types and whatnot. So yeah, maybe you would probably want Terra Blast Water, and then unless you need it for ice to boost the power, but I would probably just use Terra Blast so you don't have to risk missing Hydro Pump or using Wide Lens. And then, or using something lower power like Water Pulse. And then maybe just Protect with it. Could, like I said, use Icy Wind, but it's already really fast. So you could make it like 196 speed or something to outspeed Talonflame. Put the rest in bulk. Use it with Abomasnow. Use Life Orb or something with it. And then this, probably use Dual Screens with it. I forget what people use with it. I think they use Dazzling Gleam. It's not very powerful though, so you probably only want one attacking move. Encore is decent. You probably want Light Clay. You probably want... Oh, you could use fake tears with it. Or encore disable. Helping hand might be a pretty good move. Prayer song possibly. You can save it for the back. Wait till you kill two and get up a prayer song. Yeah, I would probably use... To pick out of all these moves, I would probably use... And you can even use Psychic Fangs to get rid of their screens. I don't know. Maybe I might just want to slap on a Psychic Fang for now until I know more what to use. Just to have something to break their screens while you set up your own. And it gets stabbed. Now, this is a random speed, by the way. You might want to use maybe not Psychic. Actually, you would probably want to use a Terra that's resistant to steel, like water. Or I'm trying to think of what super affects Fairy. Poison and steel. So you could even use either water or steel or something with it. So I'll leave that up to you, I guess. And then there's other photosynthesis or quark drive Pokemon. Let's go over those. I had them listed into tiers earlier. I can pull that up, I suppose, but not in this video because it has some stuff in it, old notes that are mixed in with stuff that I don't really want to show to the whole public. So I'll just go over this stuff. Iron Hands is basically like Hariyama, except better, usually, I would say. Unless you really want the Guts boost. But you can get the Quark Drive boost with Pincurchin. So I guess I can't say it's necessarily better. It's only better, per se, if Electric Terrain is up. Because not only do you get the Electric Terrain boost, but you get like an attack boost of... You would want it for attack. There's no way to get speed fast enough. Okay, so max out attack. You would probably want to max out the special defense since it already has really high HP and high defense. And then I don't know how much speed you want, but if you're using Trick Room, maybe it should just be min. So same exact speed as Hariyama. You probably want Assault Vest with it, I think is what I used with it, and use Close Combat, Fake Out. I don't know, there's Heavy Slam, there's Ice, oh, there's Knockoff. Heavy Slam, maybe for the coverage. Bullet Punch is, I think it gets Bullet Punch. No? Doesn't Hariyama get Bullet Punch? Why does it not get Bullet Punch? Let me see something. I swear I remember Bullet Punch. Yeah, see? And why the heck does Iron Hands not get it? Then use probably... Heavy Slam is like only versus fairies, though that might Terra anyways, like a Sylveon, so probably forget it. Probably use Ice Punch with it. It depends on your team though, what you want to do. And then that's like 180 special defense then with Assault Vest, not bad. And then what other ones do we need to go over? Quark Drive. So Pincurchin's going to be really good, by the way, because let's go back to it. Electric Surge it stops Spore, other sleep moves. It stops Poison. It stops Burn, Paralysis. Or actually, wait, no, I'm thinking of Misty Terrain. I think Electric Terrain just stops Sleep. Let's go back to it. Electric Terrain Bulbapedia. I believe it just stops sleep and boosts electric moves by 30%. It used to be 50%, but then they nerfed it to like 30%. Oh yeah, does... Let me see if it gets rising voltage. I don't think it does. Rising... No. I think they totally got rid of that move, rising voltage. Yeah, see? What the heck? And then... Terrain Pulse... Type 2 electric... Who gets Terrain Pulse? I forget who gets it. Yeah, I think it's just Arbolivia. You could actually use, believe it or not, Arbolivia... Arboliva with... Well, actually, I suppose you could use Seed Sower, and you could use either Terrain Pulse. You could use either a Grass type Terrain Pulse or an Electric type. So actually, this Pokemon might be pretty good because it gets like 100 power Electric move or 100 power Grass move. So with Stab, that's not bad. And then... Mimicry? Oh, I forgot what that does. Mimic. No Pokemon even gets it. Who even got it? Stunfisk? Okay, no one even got it until this season. So then... Max Lightning, Steel Roller... MG Max... Yeah. Steel Roller is a move. You might see that commonly with that Iron, whatever it is, Steel Roller, Iron Treads. Hadron Engine. Who gets that? No legal Pokemon gets that. Okay, so that's pretty much it about Electric Terrain. Quark Drive. Okay, Iron Treads. Wasn't that the one that got Steel Roller? Yeah, Steel Roller. I want to say it gets a... Okay, no, it doesn't get a boost if it removes the terrain. But 130 power is pretty dang powerful. But the problem with Steel Roller is like you're getting... What I don't get is why would you... That's so weird to have it on a Quark Drive Pokemon, because it's like you want the Electric Terrain to boost your stat, but you know, with Steel Roller it removes it. So actually with this Pokemon you would probably want Booster Energy, because I forgot that was even an item. And I forgot that was an item until it reminded me. Steel Roller with Booster Energy would be good because... Well, actually... Let me see. I believe, yeah, Quark Drive doesn't work if you already have the... if the Electric Terrain is gone. But with Booster Energy, if there originally was Electric Terrain, you get a boost. Or I mean, sorry, that's wrong. You get a boost, I want to say, you get a boost for Booster Energy if you have no terrain, if I remember correctly, and it stays like that the whole game. So I'm pretty sure. So it seems like a really broken item. That's why I think everyone was using it. But let's double check that Booster Energy, because I don't want to spread misinformation. I'm kind of tired. Consumed, and the Pokemon's ability is activated. Okay, yeah, I think Booster Energy basically boosts like the Quark Drive boost. But if you switch out, then you don't get it again. But it's still pretty good because chances are you wouldn't want to switch out with it anyway. So yeah, I would use Booster Energy with this, and then Steel Roller. You could get rid of their Electric Terrain, And with iron treads, I probably wouldn't use it with electric terrain. If you did, then you would want a second move besides steel roller. You probably wouldn't want to get rid of your own electric terrain unless you really needed the extra power. So you would probably want, I think it gets heavy slam or some other iron head type of move. And then earthquake. And I want to say I should just go to my old teams that had these Pokemon to make it faster. You might want like protect on it and get rid of, or actually you might want 2 electric moves, or I mean 2 steel moves, or something different. It's your choice. You can fix the EVs later. Okay, and then Oranjugulus, Tailwind is good with it. Dark Pulse. It looks like Hydreigon. You can use Air Slash with it. You could even use some other move with it. Heat Wave, whatever. Terra Blaster, use Heat Wave. It doesn't get Step Dracometer though. You could use Snarl with it. Heat Wave, Snarl are probably the best. Other moves usually, maybe Flamethrower. Protect is good too. So it depends on whatever floats your boat. I think when I used it, I used Heat Wave, I used Life Orb. That is if booster energy is already taken. Item clause. Let's just do a real simple set for now. Actually, 170. That outspeeds Garchomp. Does it even get Dracometer? No, it gets Dragon Pulse. You might even want... Let's look up if it even kills or not. I think it would if you use Terra with it. No, Dragon Pulse. Or no, not Hydreigon. It was... I'll just make it the same special attack. 174. So, yeah, it would kill if you made it Terra... Terra Dragon. It would kill if you use Dragon Pulse versus Garchomp. So maybe you could do that if you wanted to do that. Or you could use... Does it get some sort of ice move? Nope, I don't see it. So, depends on what you want to use. Now, another Quark Drive Pokemon. This Terra could be ground, it could be steel, it could be something else. Quark Drive. The Moth, this was never, as far as I know, that good, but it would catch people off guard with weird stuff like Discharge. I thought I had Discharge. Yeah, it is. Okay, but you would probably want Heat Wave, Poison. What's the best poison move with it? Venoshock? Doesn't it get a better move than that? Sludge Wave, Acid Spray. Yeah, instead of Venoshock, you would probably want, unless you're using it in the back of like Glamora. Like, you know how Glamora has its Toxic Debris set? You could use Iron Moth in the back of that. Maybe and try Venoshock, but I don't know how consistent that is. At least you had 65 power, worst case scenario. So that, and then you would probably want Terra Flying. because why would you want to get hit with a ground move? Unless you use air balloon, maybe. Shucka? I don't know. But you'd probably want Terra flying, and then something to hit the ground Pokemon if you're going to do Terra flying. So there's not really anything to hit Garchomp though. So I don't know. Let's look at its stats. Not bad. It's like Gengar speed, but its defense is quite low. And oh, you could outspeed Garchomp and use maybe maybe air balloon. But if you can outspeed it, you could just kill it with something like Terra Blast. But that may not be super consistent because you may need the Terra with an ally. And then I'll just make this like a spec set. Let's just say if you were going to use specs with it, then you could run another coverage move besides Heat Wave, maybe Flamethrower. Now you might want like Energy Ball on it or something for the coverage. Choice specs. Okay, let's move on. Even though there's other ways of using it, if you're not using choice specs, I'll just make one more moss set. Even though I don't think it's that good overall. Just look at, I mean, it's 4 times weak to ground. It's weak to a bunch of things. It doesn't seem very good at anything in particular, really. Okay, if you're not using that, though, you could use either Terra Flying or Terra, whatchamacallit. Or you could just not. You could use Air Balloon. And does he even get Quiver Dance? No. You might want to use even Acid Spray with it. Acid Spray and then Heat Wave the next turn. Terra Blast flying. After they pop the Air Balloon, I'm trying to think of what else it's weak to. You might even want like no Terra Blast, give it Protect, and then give it like Terra Grass, so you can still wall ground moves if need be, but you can also be immune to Spore and whatnot. And even though you can Heat Wave their Amoonguss, it could survive, and even if it normally wouldn't survive, it could Terra Water or whatever and wall your Heat Wave and Spore you. So if you Terra Grass, you could wall a Spore, and then what else could you do? Or I mean, let's go to another Pokemon. Iron Thorns. Look at his moveset. You could use Weakness Policy, I suppose, with it. Or some other item like Life Orb. It looks pretty much like Tyranitar though, except it has it's possibly a little bit better for a Dragon Dance set because it has Quark Drive and Stab Electric, so you get a pretty powerful Dragon Dancer. But the problem is you might have to use Pincurchin or manually use Electric Terrain with some Pokemon. So Dragon Dance, Wild Charge, Rock Slide, and maybe Protect. Weakness Policy or Life Orb, or you could use Scarf or Band or something. Maybe you would probably want to use Jolly and max out the speed on it, because then you outspeed Talonflame, Meowscarada, etc., etc. So you could even use it in Sand as well to boost its special defense a little bit more. But really, this thing on average is probably worse than Tyranitar unless you have the Pincurchin to give it a boost. Or you could use Booster Energy with it if you wanted to. But then you wouldn't get the Electric Terrain boost on top of it. And then more Quark Drive Pokemon. Valiant? I think that's the last one to cover in the Quark Drive. You could use Close Combat, Fairy. Spirit Break. That is if you make it physical. You could make it special, actually. Let's see, or mixed. You might even want to make it mixed. Moonblast, because that has way more power than Spirit Break. So Close Combat, that I want to say that, yeah, this thing is pretty fast. And then maybe have it with either a defense or special defense lowering nature. I might even want a special defense lowering nature because it's more efficient that way. You can always raise special defense after that a little bit, but making it have lower defense and being more likely to be killed by a priority move, I don't know about that. Okay, well, maybe a little bit, but let's see. The one that raises speed and lowers special defense. Naive. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. 184 speed would be... Oh, no point in even trying to raise that. So, what does that outspeed? Let's look at DeagleBeagle's blog. So, 184... What? 184 speed. Iron Valiant. By the way, I'm gonna post a second speed tier that has all the new Pokemon in it. I had archived this before I made all the changes for Series 1. So it would actually be the same exact speed as Timid, Scarf, Abomasnow, or Sylveon, which almost nobody uses. It would outspeed Floatzel even. So if you had Tailwind up, it would outspeed it in Rain. That Swift Swim. But if you don't need to outspeed Floatzel, then make it outspeed Maushold probably, and it would also outspeed Gengar and whatnot. So I would probably make it a little lower speed, but that's up to you. And then let's look at its moves. Ice Punch would be... Actually, you don't need Ice Punch if you have Moonblast, because I think that one-shots Iron Valiant. That might one-shot the Garchomp. Yeah. And let's just say you had Spirit Break instead. Wow, even Spirit Break would do lower with all that attack. But the good thing about Spirit Break, though, is you do lower their special attack by one stage, if it matters. But in the case where this Garchomp and a lot of other cases, you're just trying to do damage, not really lower their special attack. So if you used Adamant, you would be one speed lower than it. So you'd probably want Naive or something. Or you could use Jolly and use a pure physical set. But Spirit Break would only... yeah, I guess it would one-shot 75% of the time if they didn't use any bulk. Or you could use Booster Energy and secure the KO, but I might want to make it mixed anyways, just to hit Pokemon of all kinds somewhat hard. And then you have access to Knockoff. Might be a decent item, or a move. Icy Wind, not really. It's too well, maybe, but you would probably want to use attacking moves. Shadow Sneak. It's already kind of fast, but maybe. I would probably use Trick Room's always not... I mean, it depends on what you want to do. But I would probably use Drain Punch or Terra Blast as a second move in case you don't want to lower your defenses. So maybe something like that or something else. And then, what's that? Quark Drive? Are there any other Quark Drive Pokemon? No. We covered them all. Photosynthesis. Brute Bonnet. I'm just going to make this really quick because this video is too long. Spore. You'd probably want Sucker Punch and Seed Bomb. There's not much else to use. Okay, and then you might want either Booster Energy or whatever. Okay, and you would want, I believe this is the Pokemon they made where you can't have the speed more than the attack. Yeah, because even if you made it that, it's still not going to work. So instead, you should just make it. Well, it depends on what you want to do, but I would probably make it have decent attack. I'm just gonna max it out for simplicity, and there you go. And maybe Terra Dark or something for this Sucker Punch, or some defensive Terra, or Terra Grass for this other stab. And then Photosynthesis, Fluttermane. There's different ones to use. I know I remember using a Scarf one to try to outspeed and counter theirs because I got tired of dying from them. I suppose you could make yours normal, Terra normal, just to wall their ghost type completely. Even though some of this stuff may be more designed for ladder instead of OTS. For OTS, it'd still be good though, I think, because you would make them have to predict whether you're going to Terra Normal or not. Or even if they know you have Terra Normal, you could just Terra Normal and then it can't one-shot you. It's forced to go for another move. But then you bust a Terra when it might just Dazzling Gleam you instead. Shadow Ball. It used, I want to say Trick Room or Mystical Fire. Icy Wind, Thunderbolt. There's a lot of good moves with this. Let's just say Protect or Icy Wind, and either Booster Energy or Life Orb or something, or Scarf, whatever you want to use. If you use, you might actually want Timid with it to at least hope you'll get the speed tie and outspeeding and kill theirs, but I don't think it actually one-shots normally. Let me see. So I think it has high special defense. So yeah, see, it doesn't even one-shot normally unless you use Modest with it. If you use Modest, then it's slower. It only kills like half of the time. So, what's the other one? Other ones. You could make it Imprison Trick Room if you wanted to. Slither, no, Great Tusk. Headlong Rush, what it's known for. Close Combat. Depends on the item. I think I preferred White Herb with it, because you can use White Herb for your attack being lowered, for Headlong Rush, for Close Combat. So in my opinion, White Herb is probably the best item on it, even better than Assault Vest. And then, what else? You would want some coverage move with it. Ice Spinner might be good for like Garchomp, just for coverage and stuff, and getting rid of that Psychic Terrain if you need to protect. You could use something like that. Choice Scarf, I think I've seen people use, but personally I think White Herb's the best item on it. It's just when you have two moves that lower 2 stats by 1 stage defensively, you probably should try to mitigate that. So you might even want more special defense too. It just depends. Because that's rather, it does have high HP at least. Okay, and then what's the other Pokemon that you could try? You could try Roaring Moon with, the best set that I remember with it was Terra, I want to say like Terra Flying or Terra something or Steel or whatever, where you get acrobatics. This Pokemon reminds me of Hydreigon, where it has really bad defensive typing, but you can Terra with it. It kind of relies a lot on its Terra. So actually, I see that as a negative, where you kind of have to rely on the Terra a lot. So I think unless Booster Energy does the trick. I mean, for acrobatics it does, but defensively, I want to say you had to use some sort of typing to wall them, like Steel or something. But anyways, acrobatics, crunch, better than jaw lock, because you don't keep yourself locked in. And then Dragon Claw or Breaking Swipe. Breaking Swipe is probably better than Dragon Claw, but it depends. Because you lower both opponents' attack by 1, it hits both opponents. And then you could use Protect or something, or Tailwind actually with it. How much speed does it get? 188. Now this doesn't have the new Pokemon in it, but that would outspeed Iron Valiant and a few others. So you could use, I would probably max out its speed for the Speed Tie and Iron Valiant and whatnot. But if you didn't want to, and you just wanted to use Adamant, you would still outspeed Garchomp. And let's see if, I think that would kill Garchomp in one hit. Roaring Moon. Let's just say Sun is up to activate the ability. Garchomp. Okay, so yeah, the calc does work. Just checking it. So you would outspeed Garchomp and one-shot it, even with Jolly Nature. If you wanted to use Dragon Claw, you might want to use Dragon Claw, actually, if that's the case. But Breaking Swipe would be good too. And then, so again, you're gonna see like the item clause being an issue, especially in Series 2, because it's like you're gonna want to use Booster Energy on everything, but you can't. So like Booster Energy is probably gonna be used like on pretty much every team, and after that, if you can't use that, there'll probably be a lot of Life Orb or Specs or Scarf or whatever. Okay, and 4 in HP, and then Sandy Shocks I remember is not very high tier. Roaring Moon too, I felt like was really overrated because it had really bad defensive typing, at least when it was used. But if using a defensive Terra is not necessarily a huge issue, then maybe it's fine. And what else? Sandy Shocks, I remember, I think Choice Scarf was the best set with it, because you probably, unless you use Choice Specs, Choice Scarf though can Volt Switch, Earth Power, possibly Discharge. You would probably want like Terra, I don't know, Ice or something for Terra Blast and kill the Garchomp, and probably use either Thunderbolt or probably Thunderbolt on it over Discharge. Actually, it doesn't even outspeed. Okay, never mind. It outspeeds with Scarf. I don't know what I'm thinking. So if you use like 143 or so speed, you outspeed Dragapult, or you can make it in, probably make it in the low 130s though, to outspeed like Dragapult, or I mean, outspeed Talonflame. There you go. Now, I suppose you could use Scarf or some, I mean Specs with it. That's a possibility, or some other item. But in general, this Pokemon's not very high tier from what I can remember, unless something will change. And then photosynthesis. And I thought Screamtail wasn't top tier last time. I thought that Roaring Moon wasn't top tier, that it was just below top tier because you have to pretty much Terra almost all the time defensively to survive stuff unless you outspeed and kill it. And Sandy Shocks just wasn't doing that much offensively, and defensively it's okay, but it just wasn't doing that. It wasn't really countering anything in particular. And Screamtail, like I said, Grimmsnarl has priority screens, and Screamtail doesn't outspeed everything, so I might prefer Grimmsnarl over it. But since it has a lot of stats, then maybe I might take another look at Screamtail because it's good for screens. I just think I remember it was like only used for screens because it didn't have like any offense or anything. And then the last one I need to cover is Slitherwing. So this Pokemon, you can use it now in Season 2, Series 2. I think I actually used Scarf with it, with U-Turn. So it gets U-Turn to get rid of its... If you're weak to what they lead with, you could try to U-Turn out. The only risk is if they protect with the Pokemon you're trying to U-Turn and hit with your other, then you get trapped in and hit with them. So instead of risking that, sometimes you might have to manually switch out. So U-Turn, I would be hesitant to use First Impression, but you could use First Impression one time for priority and then switch out. I'd just be hesitant to use it on a Scarf set because you have the choice item. And then I think I used Flare Blitz. I used... I'm trying to think of what else you would use. I think I used... I don't even remember what I used. That's weird, but I suppose you could use Heavy Slam with it. You should use a fighting move with it. Close Combat, Flare Blitz, U-Turn, I know I had for sure. The fourth move, for some reason, I don't remember. I think it was either... Oh, Dual Wing Beat might be good. Slither Wing. Because you might be able to kill Meowscarada with it. If it hits, it doesn't miss. Yeah. You might want Dual Wing Beat or something cheeky like that to outspeed and kill Meowscarada through the sash. But if you don't want that, there is Earthquake. First Impression, maybe Brick Break. There's Low Kick, Leech Life. I think I used Leech Life with it. That's why I don't remember. That's why I didn't remember at first. So if you want a good bug move that you can stay in and hit, you could use Leech Life. And Bug is pretty good offensively. So you might even want to keep the Terra Bug just for U-Turn and Leech Life. Like you could Terra Bug U-Turn, do decent damage, and then later Leech Life if you have to get HP back, do decent damage. So probably run Adamant with it, max the speed out for now, and you should be good. Did I cover everything? All the new stuff that's going to be used again? Yeah, because you can't use all the Ruins Pokemon, but you can use all the Quark Drive and Photosynthesis Pokemon. So Torkoal usage will go way up. Way up. Torkoal and Pincurchin usage will go up the most. Pincurchin's usage will go up the most, and other thing. Oh, let's look at the other fire types really quick. Is there anything? Oh, chlorophyll. You're gonna see a lot more Lilligant also because of the Torkoal setups. You're gonna see Scovillain and Lilligant be used a lot more. Let's go over Lilligant and Scoville. Scovillain. They named it after Scoville heat units. So you could use solar beam and protect maybe, and doesn't it get will-o-wisp? Yeah, but I want to use that. I could miss. Spicy extract is its signature move, but I can't use that very well. Maybe flamethrower. It doesn't even get heat wave. That's crazy. Or a Terra Blast with it. You might want a Terra Blast with it for coverage. Or it even gets rage powder. So I don't know what you want to use, but you could use something like that. You don't even need that much speed, probably. You probably only need like 107 or something to outspeed Dragapult, or even less than that. You probably only need like 98 speed or whatever to outspeed like Talonflame. And I don't know what you want to use with it. Defensively, if there's some good if you're going to use a defensive Terra type, it probably should be offensive too. I'm trying to think of what I would use. If I used it offensively, I would probably use, and now you can also use Giga Drain or whatnot too, but I would probably use coverage with it instead of Rage Powder because it's not the bulkiest Pokemon for that, but I suppose you could if you had to. I would probably use Terra Blast, like either Ice or Dragon or something to hit Garchomp, but it just depends. And Lilligant, I prefer Wide Lens. I hate to encourage spamming inaccurate sleep powders, but that's the best thing it should probably do. You can use After You. You can use, what was the other move? I think Protect or Encore. Let's just run Protect for now. Use this with the Torkoal. Oh yeah, by the way, actually I forget the speed tiers. You want to outspeed Mischievous, and I want to say Lilligant doesn't even outspeed it. Alright, sorry. It's not Mischievous, it's its evolution. What is it even called? It's Fluttermane, right? Fluttermane. Yeah, see, this thing gets like 307 speed with booster energy or like Sun. So this does not even outspeed it. I want to, unless used, well, let me see. Let's use Timid. 156 times 2. Yeah, you would have to use Timid with it, so use Timid with it. To outspeed. So you might want this thing to outspeed. No, you can't even outspeed it, so why even try? I don't know. You might want to outspeed other things though. I totally forgot the whole speed tiers are out of whack now because of the Quark Drive and Photosynthesis Pokemon. But ignoring those Pokemon, you would probably want to use this. You might want to use more speed on everything I mentioned previously because of the Quark Drive and Photosynthesis Pokemon. And are there any more good Chlorophyll users? Jumpluff's not very good. Lilligant's better. Sawsbuck is actually pretty decent with Choice Band. I remember a pretty good Choice Band set with it. Double Edge, Horn Leech. Zen Headbutt, I think I even used. And then I think I used Terra Normal for the more powerful double edge. You could use Grass or some defensive one with it. I might have even used Play Rough or Stomping Tantrum with it. I think I did use Stomping Tantrum with it because it has good coverage with normal and all its other moves. Double kick is an option, though. Yeah, actually, you might want double kick over Zen Headbutt because you can kill the Meowscarada with it. If that's even going to be common still. You would probably want Jolly with it. And you could lower its speed a little bit, but at lowest I would want 157 to outspeed Lilligant. Now, are there any other chlorophyll good Pokemon? I would say no. Leafeon's. I know Jamie Boyd wants to say Leafeon is better than Sawsbuck, but it's not. And it not usually anyways. And Sunflora is only really useful when you have Sun Up and in Trick Room, but I guess it's could supposedly be good with whatever. With not chlorophyll, solar power. Yeah, come to think of it, are there any other solar power Pokemon? Because Charizard, no, there's not. Oh, Tropius. I haven't actually looked at Tropius. This is really interesting. Even though I'm getting tired because it's a long video. Okay, Giga Drain. You would want. How much speed does it get? Still pretty dang low. Tailwind, maybe? You would want. Where's the Solar Beam? Maybe Solar Beam. And then. Or just Leaf Storm, maybe. In case the weather gets changed. I'll leave that up to you. Hurricane. You might want this on a rain team, actually. With something like this. Doesn't get that much special attack though. I don't know about Tropius. Actually, no, that doesn't make any sense to use on a rain team with solar power. I don't know what I'm thinking. Unless you want to use it to still do something even if they set rain up, but you would probably want like drag. Does it even get? It gets Air Slash. Okay, let's just do that. But that's still so bad. I wouldn't even use Tropius. Sunflora would be better in Trick Room. You get Solar Beam. You get Terra Blast. Terra Blast Fire, I want to say. You get even Encore, I think, could be decent in Trick Room, maybe. What else do you even get? Nothing good, really. You would probably just want to use, like, I don't know, Earth Power or something for coverage. It's really slow. That's the good thing about it. But it relies on both Trick Room and Sun. So good luck with that. So that's why it will never be higher top tier, really. It'll always be like in the third tier section, whatever you want to call that, where it relies not just on one thing but two things. Normally the top tier Pokemon don't rely on anyone else for help, but it depends on how you want to define top tier and whatnot. It's just for consistency. Typically You can still use Pokemon that get a boost off of rain or whatever, but typically you don't want to use those because they're not as consistent. Because for example, you may want to pick Lycan Rock but not Tar, or let's say you have Lycan Rock and Tar, and they might mess it up with like their Pelipper or something. So it's like Lycan Rock will never be, in my opinion, top tier because of stuff like that, but other reasons too. There might be an argument for an exception somehow, but normally I don't think any Pokemon's top tier if it relies even on one thing. But Sunflora relying on both Sun and Trick Room to do well makes it not that good either. So then let's look at the good electric. I want to say is there anything that gets a benefit from electric